Hey everyone, Julian here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make beautiful ethereal hard techno in style of CHLÄR. As usual, you can get this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets. This entire insane template is available at the top of the description on my website. Definitely go grab that. It's a really great way to make the best tracks of your life. This is one of the best hard melodic techno templates on the market, and I promise if you grab it, you will make the best track of your life today. Link is at the top of the description. Thanks for the support, guys. You can also find all the info for my ghost production, track finishing, and lessons as well at the top of the description. Check that out. It's a really great way to support me and support yourself, making your best tracks and getting your career ahead. Thanks for the support, everybody, and let's dive in. Alright, so we're at 143 BPM. First thing we have is this little key. So this is basically what's happening here is we're in the key of F sharp major or F sharp minor, excuse me. And so if you see this, we're kind of just playing around that chord. Like you see, it starts with an F sharp minor here, right? And we're just adding notes in that scale to almost create like a chord melody, if that makes sense. Like it's chords, but it's not following the main progression. And it kind of like adds like musical texture, right? So we're starting here, like you can see it's root note, fifth, minor third, very basic minor chord. Then we have like this fourth here, or another fifth, excuse me. We got a root note, another fifth, another minor third. Then here we're doing this A major chord. And it's really playing between like the fifth and the sixth there, right? Like that builds a lot of tension moving between those in this melody. But the actual sound is made with analog, so we've got a square wave and a saw wave. They're an octave apart, a little bit detuned. And then what we're doing is we have a low pass filter and as well as this formant filter here. So the low pass has an envelope as well as it's being key tracked, and then the formant filter, same deal. So you get this really like juicy. There's without the formant and with it. So it can be a really great way to kind of like create texture in the sound, right? And get creative with saw waves and square waves and make them something a little bit more exciting. So then we've got the amp envelopes like that. We've got a bit of vibrato and unison. You notice with the unison, I have it on 4 voices and we have this delay. So if you listen, if I hit one note, here I was kind of like, that's because the delay pushes that forward, each unison voice. We've got a bit of chorus, a bit of reverb, some drum bus, which is being blended so it doesn't take over the whole sound, high passing it quite a bit so it doesn't get in the way of the bass, and then we're side chaining it. Then we have this respace. So it's basically playing this really simple progression. We're just walking down to the root note. Remember, we're in F sharp minor, so we're going 6th, 4th, root. And then up here, it's really just gliding to those same notes. Like you see, there's just another D, same note that's being played there. This glides up to B and then D, those same 2 notes. And you guessed it, that's just F sharp, a few octaves up, same note that's being played lower. But this gives you like a great underlying progression under all these melodies. Now, for the sound, I was trying to play around with the kind of respace thing and get a bit more creative with it. So it's actually 4 layers inside of this instrument rack with a bit of processing. So I'll turn off all the processing and show you what this sounds like. Right, so it's just this huge fat respace created with all these different layers working together. We have these 2 analog layers which are detuned and they're also panned all the way to the right on one of them and all the way to the left on the other. They're very similar patches with slight changes. Just, you know, detuned saw waves and square waves. We've got this analog right down the center, which is just 2 square waves, super detuned. So when you put all those together, it's already pretty full. And then the last element is this wavetable patch, where it's a saw wave, a little bit of a low pass, and then the shimmer unison. And you can see those all come together and create this really nice full respace that's just a little bit more creative than just like the standard just 2 saw waves detuned. Then we have a bit of notch filtering, which is like a drum and bass technique where you have this and you have it like an LFO on there moving the filter frequency. There's without it. And with it, it gives you that like kind of crazy warbling crunchy filtered sound, right? And that's going into an amp. Here's without that. And with it, it's only at 28%, but you can see it adds quite a bit of crunch to the sound. We got a little bit of drum bus blended on there as well to just make it a little bit fatter. Here's without it. With it. So it just makes it a bit more harmonically rich. We got this EQ8 here cutting out the low end so it'll fit with the kick and the sub. And then we've got it's being sidechain. We have bass mono on the utility. And this last EQ here I found just helps it fit a little bit better with the low end by cutting out some mud there. Then we have this pad. This might seem complicated, but it's actually just following the same chord progression I just showed you with the bass. We got D minor, or D major, B minor, F sharp minor, but we're going up to F sharp instead of down, right? And then if you look at this, you know, it's all just like pretty basic chords. Like, okay, we got a root note of this chord, a fifth, another root note, another fifth, another root note, and then the major third. Okay, so that's just a basic triad pretty much with a few extra voices or a few doubled up voices. Then we have in this chord, so we got a root note, a fifth, another root note, another fifth. This, which would be the ninth actually, so we're kind of playing with like an interesting voice there. And then this A here. So you can see it's like pretty basic chords just following what that bass line's doing and just adding a few voices here and there to make it a little bit more exciting. And then for the actual sound on this one, this is another very interesting layered sound. What we're doing is we're layering this vocal pad. This is this chromatic voice. You can get this if you have Ableton Suite. It comes with it. It's this voice box. It's right in here, chromatic voices. And yeah, it's like a vocal pad layered with a super saw, where we've just got the saw wave and then noise unison. And it comes together to make like a more interesting super saw kind of pad, right? So it's not just that standard like saw wave on its own. We got a bit of reverb, a high pass filter, and then it's being sidechained. And then the last synth here is this lead melody. So what's happening here is it's a bit of call and response. We have the call over here, which is this melody using the root note, fifth, sixth, and then another root note. And then once it changes chords over here, it goes root note, fourth, fifth, sixth. So you can hear like the two different parts, and that goes really well with the progression too. It's like as the chords are changing, so does this melody, but it stays very simple so it doesn't get in the way. And it's also very different harmonically than the other sounds as well. So for this one, it's made with wavetable. It's just a square wave with a low pass filter with an envelope on the filter. And we also have an envelope on the unison. So if I turn that off, here it's kind of more like a basic unison square. But when you add that envelope, it gives you that really nice punch at the start, and then you hear it kind of go down, and it's like Yeah, it gives you a really nice pluck. I definitely recommend trying this. This isn't really talked about enough. I don't think I've really talked about this on the channel before, but putting an envelope on your unison can create some very interesting sounds. And we also have a little LFO on the filter frequency, so it gets a bit more movement. We've got this noise unison all the way up, but again, you're not actually hearing that much of it because the envelope's taking it all the way down. We've got a bit of reverb, some distortion, so here's without that. And with it, it's almost more so like an analog filter. Like it's giving it that more like live, kind of like crunchy analog feel. We've got a high pass filter on this, and then just a side chain. And then we have the drums. Now, the first thing I want to talk about with the drums is obviously when you're moving really fast at 143 BPM like this, and you have all these synths happening, you really don't need the drums to be that busy. It's really just a boom, and that's like, that's what you want to focus on. I think if you add too much percussion and rave loops and stuff, it's like, you know, all these synths are really already eating up so much of the frequency spectrum. But you gotta know how to keep it simple. But it starts with the kick. So we got a nice hard techno kick. This is one of mine that I made, and then I'll show you. So here's without this overdrive. With it, it's only at 20%, but it adds this beautiful punch layer. It's a great way to do that. Like a lot of people waste time trying to use like a compressor or even like saturation to get more punch out of their kick or like drum bus, but just a little bit of overdrive with the filter in the right place can really make it punch through the mix. We've got a sub cut to cut out, you know, the really deep subs so that this is nice and kind of airy and high up there and not so like woo woo weighing down your mix. And then we also have a utility converting this to mono, and then the rumble. So this is made using this acoustic tom. Actually, it's not a kick, it's this. It's that acoustic tom sample, right? And then what's happening is I've got an arpeggiator making it do 16th notes. So I'll just show you with none of the processing. Right? It's like that, just like this nice deep bass note. You can say I pitched it a little. Then we're low passing it. I've got a bit of hybrid reverb, which also has a low pass on it. And it's really short. You can see even the size is turned down. We have a little bit of amp, which kind of beefs it up. And then I've got this EQ cutting out the highs, and also just like with the kick, cutting out those deep subs that you wouldn't really hear, that would just kind of make it be too much like whoom, kind of weighing the track down. This is going to make this fit really well and keep the groove really tight and airy. We're side chaining this, and then we have a utility converting it to mono at the end, very important, with your bass. Then we have this clap. So what's happening here is this is starting its life out like this. Just like a standard clap, honestly. You can hear it has a lot of high end. So then what we're doing is we distort it with a pedal. And then this overdrive. You can see how those two work together. And then the high end that's in the clap gets pulled up even more. And it becomes more like a snare. It becomes like a instead of like a. Then I just added a little bit of reverb. It makes it sit nice in the groove. Then we have this open hi-hat. No processing required, just a nice classic fat 909 hi-hat turned up right and grooving well with the other sounds. You know, it sits really well with that. And then we have the 909 core kit. So I'm just using this for the ride. And that little closed hi-hat, just to add a little groove to the drums. Because again, we don't want too much like 16th note percussion. It really would get in the way of a lot of stuff. But that little, that tiny little closed hi-hat can add a really nice little groove. As long as you time it well. Like if you listen to this with the lead, it's almost like grooving off of that as well. And yeah, so that's it for the drums. And that's gonna be it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this insane template at the top of the description. Definitely go grab that at just $5. It's a great value. You can really make an amazing hard techno track out of this. There's nothing else like this on the market. I put a ton of time into studying the style so that we could all benefit, and the whole producer community can make the best tracks of their life. You know, that's really why I put these templates out, guys. It's not just to make a product. I'm really trying to uplift you guys and give you something amazing so that you can make the best tracks of your life. You know, we've been stuck with bad sample packs for years now, and for just $5 you can get one of the best ones on the market for this style of techno. Link is at the top of the description. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. Definitely check out my lessons in track finishing and ghost production as well for further assistance. Thanks for the support, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.